Hello, everybody. I'm participating in the BSC Q2 Hackathon. Today, I'm presenting the context pilot, which is going to be participating in the infrastructure track of the BSC SDK to accelerate the development on the BSC. This tool is not necessarily directly a SDK, but it can increase the people's performance in development to develop and understanding BSC in a much faster pace. So nowadays there are a lot of different kind of the code editors and code assistant in the Visual Studio marketplace. For example, the representative is the Copilot. I'm actually using it every day, but I use it only 20% of the time that is perfectly fit into my requirement. For the rest of the 80% of the time, the requirement is much more complicated and the scenario use cases is much more complicated. I prefer using my own tool called ContextPilot. The reason is that I am using a decoupled RAG. What is the decoupled RAG? In the whole life cycle of a code development process, the context selection, and AI interaction, and the final apply to the changes in the Copilot, everything is coupled together. You actually don't know where the context is coming from. For example, when I try to ask the question about the function, I don't really know how they select the related topic and related information from my question. And the changes usually only go to one source file. And it's auto-completion. It's pretty fancy. But in some of the cases, I can say in most of the cases, that's not the truth. For example, if you take a look at the pull request in the GitHub, it usually involves multiple changes, right? It involves the changes of the source code. It involves changes on the definition of the database. It involves changes of the configuration files. So the context is actually much more rich and much more complicated. The context might come not even from the source code itself. It might come from the outside. For example, sometimes you want to read the document, right? Sometimes you want to use the information from your email communication from a bugnizer, something like that, to feed into the AI. So we want to give the user more flexibility of choosing and organizing their context before they use that information to ask questions to the AI. And also, when AI give you suggestions, sometimes it's not just limited to one place to make the changes, right? So we want to make sure that the changes can go to multiple files. So we decoupled all of these three things to give the user more flexibility. So let me give you an example of how the context is selected. In this case, you can see that I can select the whole file and add it into the context. I can also choose to select one function to add it into the context. So if you click the get context, you will see that I have added two contexts into my context. And I can also add the context from outside of my source code editor. For example, in this case, I have selected some of the information from the Google Cloud documentation, and I added it into the context. And you will see that this example is also added into the context. And I can also edit the context because sometimes people want to put some to-dos or fix-me's on the context, and they don't want to do it in the original source code, so they can edit it here in our tool. For example, in this I added some of the to-dos in the context so that the AI can understand I want to do something here, right? Then I click save, the edit will be saved. I can also make a definition of the context. Sometimes I want to go to give the whole context a general definition, what it is, where it comes from, what it's used for. For example, here, I give the definition saying that this is the Gemini official Python usage document. And AI will be able to understand, okay, this part of the thing is coming from the outside and it's what it is does. Once you define everything, you select everything, you can chat with the AI now. This is the second step. So you basically select what context you want to include it in your chat. And in here, the input box, you can submit the question. So I can organize everything into a prompt and send the question to the ChatGPT or Gemini. Then you will get the feedback like this, right? So this is the suggestion made by the AI. Once you get any information from the AI, you can keep chatting with the AI as much as possible until you get whatever you want. But there are some history of the chat, right? So you can click on the show session or show context to navigate through your chat history. For example, in this case, you get some feedback from the AI, right? So you can get it, you can navigate it, and you can select. Yeah. One of the thing is that we have mentioned about the two steps in our critical user journey, right? Select the context, using the context to chat with the AI. Now AI have give you some feedbacks and some suggestions. What would you do next? There are probably two things. One thing is that the AI might give you multiple suggestions of where the code needs to go to, and you need to modify the code, create a pull request, right? Another thing is that you might need to install some of the packages, execute some commands, right? So we can do both of this. For example, now AI have give you this suggestion. If you click apply suggestion, it will find the source code. It's going to and apply the changes to you. From here, you can see there is a div, right? We have made some changes. And another use case is that sometimes AI will give you the suggestions of running some of the shell command, right? You want to execute it, and you don't want to copy and paste it into the terminal. You can directly execute from our tool. For example, here you can execute this command, and we will create a terminal for you and apply these changes to you, execute the changes for you. That will save you a lot of time. Now, one of the biggest thing that we introduced to our tool is that we can give more flexibility and give more ability to the user to select what context they want to add into their conversation with the AI. And one of the biggest thing is that this multi-modal support. In here, we can select a file, an image file from our places, and select this image file and going to our tool and include it into our context. Based on this image, I can ask some question. For example, I have a very simple design of a website. I want the AI to generate the image, generate the source code for me. And you will see that, okay, AI has generated some source code, including the HTML file, the React component file, and the CSS file. It even includes some of the commands, right? So it includes the whole life cycle of turning this image into reality. Okay, So that's what I have today, and I hope you guys enjoy our tool, and good luck.